Welcome to the book of Judges. The book of Judges is a list of 10 or 12 people that are considered judging, which actually doesn't begin until the second chapter, about the 11th verse. Whoever made the break between Joshua and Judges, I don't believe they did a very good break. It should have been a little later, because this is basically a continuation of the last chapter of Joshua. It begins, "And it came to pass after the decease of Esau, and the sons of Israel asked by the Lord, saying, Who shall ascend with us against the Canaanite, guiding to wage war against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall ascend," and Judah is down in here, Jerusalem, and "Behold, I have put the land in his hand. And Judah said to Simeon, who was close by, his brother, Ascend with me among my lot, for we should wage war with the Canaanite. And I shall go also with you unto your lot. And Simeon went with him, and Judah ascended. And the Lord gave the Canaanite and the Perizzite into his hand, and they struck them in Bezek, 10,000 men." Now, exactly where Bezek is somewhere down below here. "And they found Adoni-Bezek in Bezek, and they waged war with him. And they struck the Canaanite and the Perizzite. And Adoni-Bezek fled, and they pursued after him, and took him, and cut off the thumbs of his hands and the big toes of his feet." Pretty gross. People were brutal in those days. I guess they still are in some parts of the world today. To people who live in civilized countries that have laws and don't do these sorts of things, it sounds really terrible. But I imagine there's people out there, some of you out here live in places that this would still be going on today, or something similar, a brutal type of a way. There could be an argument on the brutality causes people to not do the illegal things, where a lot of liberality just encourages people, or allows them to do more crimes and evil things. So, but here it's talking about this king, and it continues, and Adoni-Bezek said, Well, 70 kings, the thumbs of their hands and the big toes of their feet being cut off, were collected together under my table. Trapezes, a trapeze comes from that. It's a flat, rectangular piece of wood. It means a table, and it's also a bank, because the moneylenders had these wooden platforms, and they changed coins in the ancient days. He continues and says, "As then I did, so God recompensed to me. And they led him into Jerusalem, and he died there." Now, Jerusalem, it says here, "And the sons of Judah waged war in Jerusalem, and overtook it, and struck it by the mouth of the broadsword. And the city they burnt with fire." So they didn't really take it over. Jerusalem is first mentioned in Joshua 10:1 by using that name, and Wikipedia has a good article on Jerusalem if you want to look and read about the history of it and so forth. But it really wasn't conquered until the time of David, at the beginning of his reign. And then when he did conquer, it's called Jebus, as we'll find out here. When he did conquer Jebus and called it Jerusalem, then he moved the capital from Hebron, where he was, into down here up to Jerusalem. And continues, "And after these things, the sons of Judah went down to wage war with the Canaanite dwelling the mountainous area in the south and the plain country." And this is a mountainous area over here. There's Mount Ephraim, and that's basically hills, and not big mountains. "And Judah went to the Canaanite dwelling in Hebron, down here. And the name Hebron formerly was Kiriath-Arboth. And they struck Sesi, and Ahiman, and Talmai were offspring of the Anak, which were the Anakim, the giants. So they were down in that area, especially over in the Gaza area. And so these are Raphim. And they went from there to the ones dwelling in Debir. And the name Debir was formerly Kirjath Sefer, city of letters, polis grammaton in the Greek. And we find out that this was ruled by Eglon at one time. And I'm not sure where. I was thinking that Deborah was on the other side here. It doesn't have it on the map here. I don't see it anyway. And Caleb said, "Whoever should strike the city of letters and be first to take it, I will give to him Achsan, my daughter, for a wife." Well, this might sound familiar if you just went through with us in the book of Joshua, because in Joshua 15, 16 to 19, it mentions this. So that's why I see that this is still part of Joshua, because it's basically saying the same thing. And first to take it, that city of letters, was Othoniel, son of Kenaz, the younger brother of Caleb. So he took his niece for a wife. And Caleb, gave to him Achsan, his daughter, for a wife. And it came to pass in her entering that he, her husband, stirred her to ask for a field from her father, Caleb. And she grumbled upon her beast of burden. And Caleb said to her, "Well, what is it with you?" And Achsah said to him, "Give indeed to me a blessing, for into the land of the south you've handed me over," and that's the desert down here, wilderness of sin, all that area. "And you shall give to me a ransoming of water." So they needed water. And Caleb gave to her a ransom of the elevated springs and the ransom of the ones below, and doesn't say where that is, but there are springs down here. Then that was what she received. And the sons of Eothor, the Kenite, father-in-law of Moses, ascended from out of the city of the palms, and that was Jericho, to the sons of Judah in the wilderness of Judah, being in the south upon the descent of Arad. And they went and dwelt with the people, so they were down in this area, someplace here. The wilderness of Judah, says that right there. And Judah went with Simeon his brother, and they struck the Canaanite dwelling in Sephath, and devoted it to consumption. Anathematizon is the Greek word, anathematized it, and utterly destroyed it. And they called the name of the city Devastation. And in the King James, that city is called Hormah. And Hormah, don't see it on here, so someplace. And Judah inherited Gaza, and that's over here, Gaza Strip today, where there's so much problems with the Palestinians fighting against the Jews behind their fenced wall. And Judah inherited Gaza and her border, and Ekron, which is down here, and her border, and Ashkelon, and her border, and Ashdod, and her outskirts. They're all down in here. And the Lord was with Judah, and he inherited the mountain, for he was not able to inherit the ones dwelling in the valley, for it was separated to them, and there were iron chariots to them. So somewhere here we know is a mountainous area, hilly area basically. And they gave Hebron to Caleb, and there's Hebron. And now today it's controlled by the Palestinians again. The West Bank it's called. As Moses spoke. And he removed there the three sons of Anak, the Anakim, the giants, and the sons of Benjamin, which was right close to, Benjamin was over in here, did not remove the Jebusite dwelling Jerusalem, which was over here. And the Jebusite dwelt with the sons of Benjamin in Jerusalem until this day, which shows me that this was written in later period of time. Don't know. It could have been written by Samuel. And if that was the case, it could have very well been, because Jerusalem wasn't taken until after Samuel by David. And the sons of Joseph ascended, and indeed they went into Bethel. And Bethel, somewhere over in here. And the Lord was with them. And they camped and surveyed Bethel. But the name of the city was formerly Luz. And the ones keeping guard beheld a man going forth from out of the city. And they took him and said to him, "Show to us the entrance of the city, and we will deal mercifully with you." Now, they knew the front gate, so help us to find a place to get into the city in secret, more or less, a hidden entrance. And he showed to them the entrance of the city. And they struck the city by the mouth of the broadsword. But the man and his kin they sent out, just like in Jericho with the prostitute. Rahab. And the man went forth into the land of the Hittite. Now, exactly where a lot of people think the Hittites came from Armenia. That would be way, way up. But where the Hittites were down here, doesn't say. But it says, and he built a city there and called the name of it Luzah, or Luz. This is a name until this day. We don't know where that is. And Manasseh did not remove Beth Shean. Now, Manasseh is over in here and up in this area over here. Nor her daughter towns, nor Thanach and her daughter towns, nor the ones dwelling Dor and her daughter towns, nor the ones dwelling Megiddo, and that's up here, there it is, Megiddo, and her daughter towns, nor the ones dwelling Iblam, nor her daughter towns. And the Canaanite began to dwell in this land, up here. And it came to pass, when Israel grew in strength, that he established the Canaanite for tribute, so they would give money to the Jews, who allowed them to stay there. But by removing, Manasseh did not remove him. And Ephraim did not remove the Canaanite, and Ephraim is a little bit further south of Manasseh. He didn't, in Gezer. So Gezer, I don't see Gerizim, Gezer, I'm not sure where Gezer is, and there somewhere. And the Canaanite dwelt in the midst of him in Gezer. And Zavulon did not remove the ones dwelling in Kethron, and the ones dwelling Naalol, and the Canaanite dwelled in the midst of them, and became for tribute. And Asher did not remove the ones dwelling Akko, and that's right up here, and the ones dwelling Sidon, and I think Sidon, I believe, is up north of Tyre, and the ones dwelling Alab and Ahazib and Elbah and Aphek and Roob. And Asher dwelt in the midst of the Canaanite dwelling in the land for up there, for he was not able to remove him. And Naphtali did not remove the ones dwelling Beth Shemesh. And I'm not sure remember where the Naphtali was. And the ones dwelling Beth Anath, and Naphtali dwelt in the midst of the Canaanite dwelling in the land. But the ones dwelling Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath became to them for tribute. So all these people, of the peoples of these nations became tributes, tributes to the Jews, to the sons of Israel. And the Amorite squeezed out the sons of Dan into the mountains. Now, as I remember, Amorites were over here towards west of Jerusalem. For they did not let him go down into the valley. And the Amorite began to dwell in Mount Heres, which is over here in this area, another hill, of which the bears and the foxes are. And the hand of the house of Joseph was oppressive upon the Amorite, Ephraim, I think it's talking about, for tribute. And the border of the Amorite was from the ascending of our Akravim from the rock and above. And try to find Akravim, and there's like 5 different ideas of where it could be. So basically, we don't know. Chapter 2, the angel rebukes the house of Israel. Now we'll get into the judges of who they were and why and how they operated. Chapter 2. Hope you'll join us in chapter 2, and we really begin the book of Judges then. Till then, God bless.